Hello children, I hope all of you and your family members are safe at home. The present situation demands that we should continue with online classes. So let's start with a positive attitude towards learning. This presentation is for class 8, subject English Literature, chapter number 3, The Enchanted Pool, written by C. Rajagopalacharya. The Enchanted Pool, written by C. Rajagopalacharya. Let's learn some facts about the author. C. Rajagopalacharya was born on 10th December 1878. He died on 25th December 1972. Chakravarti Rajagopalacharya, informally called Rajaji or CR, was an Indian lawyer, independence activist, politician, writer, and statesman. Rajagopalacharya was the last Governor General of India. He also served as leader of the Indian National Congress, Governor of West Bengal, Minister of Home Affairs of the Indian Union, and Chief Minister of Madras State, and as such he rendered yeoman service to the nation. For his writing in English and Tamil, he received the Sahitya Academy Award. Introduction to this lesson. This lesson is an extract from the Mahabharata or Mahabharat. It reflects the character of Yudhishthir, the Dharmaraj. Yudhishthir is also known as Dharmaraj. His patience, kindness, love for his brothers, and intelligence. He pleases Yaksha, Yaksh can also be called as Yaksh, by giving satisfactory answers to his questions. The Yaksh was pleased with Yudhishthir's impartiality. The Yaksh was Yama, the lord of death, who had taken the form of Yaksh to see Yudhishthir and test his knowledge. Being satisfied with his answers, he blessed him and disappeared. One day, a deer was rubbing itself against a sage's fire-kindling mortar, and as it turned to go, the mortar got entangled in its horns, and the frightened animal fled wildly with it into the forest. In those days, matches were unknown, and fire was kindled with pieces of wood by mechanical friction. "Alas, the deer is running away with my fire kindler," shouted the sage, and rushed towards the Pandavas for help in distress. Children, we all know that in Mahabharat, the Pandavas were sent to an exile by their own cousin brother Duryodhana for 13 years. This incident happens towards the end of their exile period. So they were spending their time in the forest helping a sage. Sage means hermit. In Hindi we call it sadhu. So there was a deer who came near the hut of the sage, and there was a fire kindling mortar kept. So that fire kindling mortar got entangled in the horns of the deer. So the deer also got frightened and it ran away into the forest. The sage went to the Pandavas seeking help. So the Pandavas chased the deer so that they can bring back the fire kindling mortar. Now fire kindling mortar means pieces of wood which are rubbed and the friction produces fire. It acts as a matchbox. Today we have matchboxes, but earlier times fire was produced with the help of fire kindling mortar. The Pandavas chased the magic deer, but it disappeared in the dense forest. The Pandavas' attempt to catch the deer was in vain, so they became sad and sat under a banyan tree. Nakul sighed, "We cannot render even this trifling service to the sage. How we have degenerated," said he sadly. Yudhishthir noticed with sorrow that his brothers had lost their cheerfulness and courage. In the previous slide, I told you that the Pandavas chased the deer, but they were not able to catch the deer, so their chase was in vain. This made the Pandavas sad. Yudhishthir noticed that his brothers are very sad because they cannot do such a small service to the sage. So Yudhishthir felt very thirsty. So he asked Nakul to climb that banyan tree and see whether there was any pool or river nearby. Nakul climbed the tree and was very glad to see a pool nearby. So Yudhishthir sent him to fetch some water to drink from the pool. Nakul went to the pool. He was very thirsty himself and so thought of quenching his thirst first before taking water in his quiver for his brothers. But no sooner did he dip his hand in the transparent water than he heard a voice which said, "Do not rush. This pool belongs to me, O son of Madri. Answer my questions and then drink the water." But Nakul did not pay any heed to the voice and drank the water. At once, overcome by irresistible drowsiness, he fell down to all appearance dead. So this means Nakul went to the pool to bring water for his brothers. But he was feeling very thirsty, so he thought that let me satisfy my thirst, let me quench my thirst first, and then I will carry water for my brothers in the quiver. Quiver means a case for holding arrows. But the moment he put his hands in the water to drink it, he heard one warning, and the warning was that do not drink this water. You can only drink this water after answering my questions. But Nakul, he did not pay any heed. Heed means attention. He did not pay any attention to the voice and he drank the water. And he fell onto the ground just like a dead person. Drowsiness means feeling sleepy or lethargic. Surprised that Nakul had not returned, Yudhishthir sent Sahadev to see what the matter was. When Sahadev reached the pool and saw his brother lying on the ground, he wondered whether any harm had come to him. He wondered any harm had come to him means that maybe somebody has harmed his brother. But before looking into the matter further, rushed irresistibly to the water to quench his burning thirst. So Sahadev was also very thirsty, so he wanted to drink the water. The voice was heard again, "O Sahadev, this is my pool. Answer my questions and then only may you quench your thirst. So the same warning was given to Sahadev, that before drinking the water, answer my questions. Like Nakul, Sahadev also did not pay any attention or heed to the warning. He drank the water and at once dropped down. So just like Nakul, Sahadev also fell on the ground unconsciously. Puzzled and worried that Sahadev also did not return, Yudhishthir sent Arjun to see whether the brothers had met with any danger, and bring water, he added, for he was very thirsty. Arjun went swiftly. Swiftly means quickly. He saw his brothers lying dead near the pool. He was shocked at the sight and felt that they must have been killed by some hidden enemy. Though heartbroken with grief means sad, and burning with the desire for revenge, but he was feeling very thirsty, which irresistibly impelled means forced him to the fatal pool. It means Arjun was also feeling very thirsty. So before taking revenge, he wanted to satisfy his thirst. Again a voice was heard. Answer my questions before you drink the water. This pool is mine. If you disobey me, you will follow your brothers. You will follow your brothers means you will also face the same consequence. Arjun became very angry and shot some arrows in the direction of the voice. But the voice laughed at him and said, your arrows do but wound the air. Means your arrows cannot wound the air. Means your arrows cannot do any harm to the air. Like his brothers, Arjun also did not obey the voice and drank the water, and fell onto the ground like his brothers, like dead. After anxious waiting, Yudhishthir asked Bhim to go and check what has happened to his brothers and also bring water. Bhim distress means extreme worry, with anxiety, and hurried away without a word. So he went to look for his brothers without uttering a single word. He was worried. When he reached near the pool, he saw his 3 brothers lying dead. He thought, this is certainly the work of the Yaksh. I will hunt them down and kill them. But oh, I am so thirsty. I shall first drink the water, the better to fight them. This means that he thought that he should quench his thirst, then only he will be able to fight with the Yakshs in a better way. And then he descended into the pool. The voice shouted, Bhimsen, beware, you may drink only after answering my questions. Like his brothers, Bhim also ignored the voice and drank the water and fell unconscious onto the ground. Yudhishthir wailed. Wailed means feeling like crying or weeping. So he was feeling very wailed. He was full of anxiety. Anxiety means concern. So he was feeling that he should cry because his brothers did not return. He was thirsty. He was concerned about his brothers. Have they been subjected to a curse? Curse means bane. In Hindi we call it abhishap. Or they wandering about in the forest in a vain search of water. Or they have fainted or died of thirst. So these were the thoughts coming to the mind of Yudhishthir, that maybe his brothers are wandering in the forest in a vain search of water. Vain search of water means useless search of water. Or maybe they have died due to thirst. Unable to bear these thoughts and driven Desperate by an overpowering thirst, he started out to look for his brothers and the pool. So at last Yudhishthir himself started to look for the pool and to find his brothers. Yudhishthir proceeded in the direction his brothers had taken, through tracts infested with wild boar and abandoning in spotted deer and huge forest birds, and presently he came upon a beautiful green meadow, girdling a pool of crystal clear water, nectar to his eyes. But when he saw his brothers lying there like sacred flagpoles thrown pell-mell after a festival, unable to restrain his grief, he lifted his voice and wept. This means that Yudhishthir also moved in the direction his brothers had taken in search of the pool. On his way he saw many wild pigs, boar means pigs, spotted deer, huge means big forest birds, and then he reached near the pool of crystal clear water. This pool was encircled by a beautiful green meadow. Meadow means a piece of land covered with green grass. This was nectar to his eyes, means a blissful sight. Then he saw his brothers lying there on the ground like sacred flagpoles. Flagpoles means a pole used for flying flags. Pell-mell means here and there. So his brothers were lying on the ground here and there like sacred flagpoles. Unable to restrain his grief, he lifted his voice and wept. This means that he could not control his grief, means sadness. He lifted his voice and cried. Then a sense of mystery overcame him, for this could be no ordinary occurrence. The world held no warriors who could overcome his brothers. Besides, there were no wounds on their bodies which could have let out life, and their faces were faces of men who slept in peace and not of those who died in wrath. This means that suddenly a sense of mystery came to his mind, and he thought that this could not be an ordinary occurrence. Ordinary occurrence means a simple incident. And he also knew that his brothers were very brave. So there is no one in this world who could defeat his brothers. And there was peace on their faces as if they are sleeping. There were no wounds or scar marks on their bodies. And there was no wrath. Wrath means anger. So there was no wrath on their face. Their faces reflected peace. And there was also no trace of any footprint of any enemy. So there was surely some magic about it. Or it could be a trick played by Duryodhan. Might he not have poisoned the water? Then another thing came to Yudhishthir's mind, that maybe his cousin brother Duryodhan has mixed poison in the water, and after drinking that water his brothers died. Then Yudhishthir also descended into the pool, in his turn drawn to the water by a consuming thirst. It means Yudhishthir was also very thirsty, so he went down to drink the water from the pool. At once the voice without form warned as before, "Your brothers died because they did not heed my words. Do not follow them. Answer my questions first and then quench your thirst. This pool is mine." Yudhishthir knew that these could be none other than the words of a yaksh, and guessed what had happened to his brothers. This means that when Yudhishthir wanted to quench his thirst, So he heard the same warning which his brothers also heard, and they did not pay attention to that. So at once Yudhishthir realized that this could be no other than a yaksh, because the yaksh is saying that answer my questions and then drink the water. So Yudhishthir immediately understood that his brothers did not pay attention to the warning of the yaksh. They drank the water, and as a result they are lying on the ground as dead. Yudhishthir said to the bodiless voice, "Please ask your questions." So the yaksh started asking his questions. The first question: what makes the sun shine every day? Yudhishthir replied, "The power of the Supreme." What rescues man in danger? Courage is man's salvation in danger, Yudhishthir replied. By the study of which science does man become wise? Yudhishthir replied, not by studying any Shastra. Shastra means religious text. Does man become wise? It is by association with the great in wisdom that he gets wisdom. This means when he comes in the company of great people, he gets wisdom. The yaksh asked, what is more nobly sustaining than the earth? Sustaining means continuing. Yudhishthir replied, the mother who brings up the children she has born is nobler and more sustaining than the earth. The yaksh asked, what is higher than the sky? Yudhishthir replied, the father. The yaksh asked, what is faster than wind? Yudhishthir replied, mind. The yaksh asked, what is more blighted than withered straw? Straw means the dried yellow stem of a crop. Yudhishthir replied, a sorrow-stricken heart, means a heart filled with sorrow. The yaksh asked, what befriends a traveler? Befriend means who is your friend forever. Yudhishthir replied, learning. The yaksh asked, who accompanies a man in death? Yudhishthir replied, dharma. That alone accompanies the soul in its solitary journey after death. The yaksh asked, which is the biggest vessel? Yudhishthir replied, the earth which contains all within itself is the greatest vessel. The yaksh asked, what is happiness? Yudhishthir replied, happiness is the result of good conduct. The yaksh asked, what is that abandoning which man becomes loved by all? Abandoning means when you leave something. Yudhishthir replied, pride. For abandoning that, man will be loved by all. So if you leave your pride, you will be loved by all. The yaksh asked, what is the loss which yields joy and not sorrow? Yudhishthir replied, anger. Giving it up, we will no longer subject to sorrow. It means if you give up your anger, you will not be sad. The yaksh asked, what is that by giving up which man becomes rich? Yudhishthir replied, desire. Getting rid of it, man becomes wealthy. So if you give up your desire, you become wealthy. Wealthy means rich. And desire means in Hindi, ichha, to get something. The want of something is desire. The next question the yaksh asked, what is the greatest wonder in the world? Yudhishthir replied, every day men see creatures depart to Yama's abode. Abode means dwelling place. So what is the dwelling place of Yam? That is, in Hindi we call it Yamlok. And yet those who remain seek to live forever. This verily, verily means truly, is the greatest wonder. This means Yudhishthir says that every day we see people die, but still we feel, we have this feeling that we will not die, we will live forever. So this is the greatest wonder. We never think of death. Thus, the Yaksh posed many questions and Yudhishthir answered all of them. By wit of answering the questions, the Yaksh was impressed by the Dharmaraj, and he puts life again into the heart of all the four brothers of Yudhishthir. At last, the Yaksh shows the real form of Dharmaraj, and after embracing Yudhishthir, he vanished away into the sky. This means at last all the four brothers became alive by the blessing of the Yamraj, and he blessed Yudhishthir and he vanished into the sky. In this way, Yudhishthir was able to save the life of all his four brothers by answering all the questions the Yaksh asked. Assignment. First question. Why did Yudhishthir not go himself to fetch water to quench his thirst? Second question. Which word describes Bhim's attitude towards the Yaksh? How, according to you, would learning befriend a traveler? Question number 4. Which of Yudhishthir's answers appeal to you the most? Question number 5. Is there any question to which you would give an answer different from the one Yudhishthir gave? What would your answer be? Thank you for watching this video. It was prepared by Sonu Nanda.